Welcome in to part 2 of creating small figures or animals in Sculpey or clay. And today I'm going to show you how to mix color and easily paint these creatures. And so all you need is the basic colors: yellow, red, and blue. These are the Winsor Newton colors, and they are just acrylic. And then get yourself some black and white. And I'm going to show you how you can mix all the colors of the rainbow just using these 3 colors and black and white. So the first thing I want you to do is set up a little piece of palette paper or whatever you have to mix your colors on. It needs to be somewhat of a slick surface. So you might just get some wax paper from your kitchen and tape it down so it doesn't move around when you mix the color. And you can see that I have the yellow, red, and blue at the top and the white and black at the bottom. And I'm going to show you now how you can use palette knives to mix the color. Here's different sizes of palette knives that are common. And we'll just take this one today. Okay, so we're starting with a little yellow here, and we're going to put some yellow here too, because we're going to be making both green and orange. So we'll need 2 sets for every one. And now we'll take another little bit of yellow and we'll actually get our red. And we put those 2 together and you'll see that we get a kind of vermilion color. Now, a lot of people are like, well, that looks very red. It doesn't look orange. And you can see if you compare it to the red, it is slightly brighter. But if you want, you could take even more yellow and just don't mix it as much. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing over here. Just put a little bit of the blue into the green. And you can see I could get many different values of green, because if I want to get a brighter green, I could take half of this, just leave that there, and I'll get a little bit more yellow over here, and I'll put it into that, and I can get 2 different values of green, a lighter one and one with less yellow in it. Now let's do a color that's a little more difficult, which would be a violet. So we're going to get red, equal parts blue, and we will mix those 2 together with my push and smush technique. Push the paint and smush it. But you see, that looks very dark. And then you probably think, oh, that doesn't even look purple. So what we need to do is then take some white, quite a bit, and put it right in. Do that mixture. And at first it looks very blue. But as we mix it more and more, the red comes to the surface and the more violet quality becomes apparent. If we were to take and add orange to this now, it would get brown. But if we just put in red, it'll get more violet. Great. Isn't that beautiful? Mm-hmm. Okay. So now we have all the colors of the rainbow, really. We have red, orange, and yellow, and we have blue, green, and violet. And we have the addition of black and white to add to when we paint our creature. So let's get started with painting this bird. I have a selection of just some small brushes here, and I'm going to start right away with my detail brush, doing the beak. And it's very easy to paint once we've got it baked. And then I'm going to go on right on to the body. And I think this one will be a kind of bluebird. So I'm going to use this pretty violet right through here. And I want you to notice what happens when I paint it on the wings. You see how little bits of paint are not getting deep into the wings, and I kind of like that because it creates a texture on the body. Some people I know will want to fill that in entirely, but for me, I kind of like to keep it that way. Here in the chest, however, I would like it to be a little bit more solid, so I'm going to really brush my paint in heavy there, and when I get to the tail or the wings, I'm just going to let the brush skim over the surface so that the white shows. Now, what shall we do with the head? How about we take a little bit of the white and some of this, and we just paint the head a lighter color. Let's see if we like that. It's very easy to use your brush to dip into the white and pick up any of the mixed colors that we've already got. Now, we can't paint over anything until it's dry, and I'll just probably use a hairdryer quickly to dry mine, but we could go ahead and put in the eyes, and it's just going to be so simple. Okay, so what I'm thinking now is that I like this, but I'd like to get a little bit more red to the breast. So I'm going to take this somewhat larger brush and I'll just dip into the red. The red itself is going to be too bright across there, but since I do have purple and it's kind of wet, I can go ahead and blend it in. And you see what happens. If this were perfectly dry, it wouldn't be mottled like this. But in this case, this effect is very good on the chest of the bird because it kind of looks like feathers. And so you can go ahead and paint it even if it's slightly wet. I wouldn't suggest entirely wet because if you do that, it's probably not going to show. Up here it looks like it's wetter, so it can have a little more texture. And then we have this back piece too, which is supposed to be little feathers. Somebody asked, what are those things sticking out the back? What's going on the back of the bird's head? And if you didn't like that, you could probably just break it off. What other detail might be nice is this tiny little line between the beak, and you're just going to have to lightly paint if you have that on yours. So you don't want it to be too clumpy. Let's turn it over and do the other side. Okay, now let's just add a little bit of white detailing into the wings. And we'll just streak it into those places that we before kind of liked, that they were lighter blue. Now we're going to actually accentuate that with white paint. Now this bird looks very blue and white. It doesn't have any green, but we could use that for the branch or where it's going to be seated. But let's put a little bit of yellow into the tail just for the fun of it. because it'll be so cheerful. And this is dry down here, so I can get away with putting it right over the blue. And it even looks quite nice. And maybe we'll just give a little bit on the top of the head. There we go. I hope you'll do this with your children because it's really fun. All ages can enjoy this.